What's up, everybody? How we doing today? Tonight, this morning, wherever you are. It's just gonna be me today, and I am extremely sorry because I have been lacking in my content. Um, Obviously, I said that I was going to be having podcasts up like every Friday, every single week, and I don't even want to think about like when we did the first podcast. And like it honestly went super well. And why I haven't been doing it, it's literally just been me being inconsistent. So, what better time is it than now to actually have a little episode about consistency and persistence? Because this is something that I've been working on a lot lately. And if you're not consistent in all the areas in life that are important, then you begin to find yourself in a position that's kind of stagnant. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I think everybody struggles with that. I think we all have problems with being consistent in certain areas of our lives that we all want to be more consistent in. Because, as everybody knows, consistency is key. Now, with that being said, what I do want to do is I want to try to promise weekly uploads, at least every single week, Saturday, Friday, something like that. I'm going to really try to be consistent in that area because this is something that I enjoy doing. I really enjoyed the first podcast. I really enjoy the idea that there are people that want to come on and talk to me about various different topics. So, to get right into it, welcome back to what we will now be calling the podcast Insight Unleashed, where I will be discussing my spiritual journey with you guys and also sharing different things on the podcast about different topics that I think everybody could benefit from, no matter if you're a believer or not. Because at the end of the day, what I want to do more than anything is I want to help people. I want to help not only people that believe in the same things as me spiritually, but people that want to achieve similar goals, which whether it's just success financially, success healthily, success physically, whatever, you know what I mean? I think I can build a platform that will provide a lot of value, and if you guys stick with me and just continue your support like you guys have already done, I think we can do big things, and we can provide a lot of value on this channel. So to get started, there are actually a lot of points in the Bible that talk about consistency and kind of reflect on the consistency of certain people in the Bible and what they did to persevere through this challenge that they might have faced at the time. So three examples just right off the bat are Noah when it comes to the ark, because a lot of people ridiculed him and they made fun of him and they thought he was crazy for building this big old boat that he was going to take two of every single species of animal on. Like, honestly, if I was a person back then, I would have been like, dude, what are you doing? You're wild. Like, that's crazy. You're wildin', But the idea is that he had this challenge. He had this mission that was given to him by God that told him that this is something that he had to do. This was the will of God. And as Christians, as believers, sometimes it's hard for us to really pursue the will of God and to understand what our purpose is and like what we should be doing when it comes to where we stand in the kingdom and what we can provide to God's kingdom, right? And one of the things that I'm struggling with is understanding my place in providing value. And I think this podcast is a place where I can really get started when it comes to providing value to the kingdom. And what I can compare to the ark is just kind of building up my consistency in the way that Noah built the ark. Some people think that it's kind of silly that I'm doing a podcast, or some people think that I'm just not going to continue doing it, or it's going to be one of those things where I say I'm going to do it, and then I don't do it, and then I move on to the next thing, and I say I'm going to do, and then I don't do it. And I'm freaking tired of saying I'm going to do things, and then I'll try it once or twice, and it usually goes well, but then I just kind of stop doing it. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's because I don't really have a real passion for some of the things that I've tried doing, or I don't know. I think a lot of it comes down to just being inconsistent and kind of just getting so wrapped up in all of these different things that we get distracted by, and we get so busy, and everybody is so busy, right? But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to the way that we manage our time, if we can all figure out a better way to manage our time, I think that can help being consistent, you know? And I think a lot of us tend to have a lot of free time. Now, I will say that a lot of us don't have free time either. But I think the way that we manage our free time is one of the biggest challenges that especially our generation can overcome. It's when we are at home, or we're on a drive somewhere with somebody else and we might not be driving, or whatever, you know, we'll sit around and we'll watch YouTube videos, or we'll scroll through social media, we'll death scroll, and I think that is what's causing a lot of us to really manage our time in a way that's not valuable. And I think if we spend more time trying to not only set goals, but also set things that we can do on the way to those goals, set little pinpoints and destinations that we can get to so that we can reach those goals eventually. Now, when it comes to Moses, Moses is another example of the idea of needing to be consistent when it comes to the Bible. Moses' biggest task was leading the Israelites out of captivity and into the promised land. Moses' biggest challenge really was actually getting the Israelites from the grip of the Pharaoh at the time. I mean, Moses performed miracles and many, many things right in front of Pharaoh's eyes that were ordained by God. The Pharaoh, he didn't budge, you know? And what we can really kind of learn from that is we can understand that Moses, when he approached these roadblocks, he was met with resistance every single time, over and over and over again. But what he didn't do was he didn't give up. I mean, I've had times where things have gone good and I've given up. What the heck is that? Like, what? So, a lesson that we can learn from that is understanding that no matter what we pursue, no matter what we try to get out of life or pursue in life, we're going to face roadblocks. Things are going to go wrong. We're going to make mistakes and we're going to fail. But what we need to understand is that we need to understand that if we stay consistent in our motivation and in our pursuit of our goals, we won't fail. And failure can look like different things, right? I mean, we might originally fail at the thing that we might have originally wanted, but what that failure can lead to is something that will open our eyes into something else that we might be interested in, and something that we might be inspired by. And this can be something new that we can pursue. And I think so many of us are just going through life, and we try things and we fail, and then we try another thing and we fail. And I think a lot of us get discouraged by these different trials and tribulations that we end up going through, and sometimes we feel kind of stuck, and we feel like we're in a position where we don't really know what to pursue next, or we failed at all these different things, and what's the point of trying something new if it's not going to work? But that's the problem, is that we need to continue to try and stay consistent. What did Caleb say? You have to consistently show God that you are consistent. Because in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, it says, not full quote, but we should not be wary in the good works that we do. For if we are consistent in the work that we do and we do not give up, then at the proper time we will reap a bountiful harvest. Now, this is just another example in the Bible of showing us that we don't operate on God's time. God operates on God's time, you know? And a lot of the times we expect things to happen when we want them to happen. And if they don't, then we just kind of give up. But if we understand that God has our best interests, He knows what we need. He knows what we want. And He knows when He will give to us what we need. I think this can offer us a lot more consistency in how we move forward in life. I think this can help us move forward in life, in our pursuits and in our goals, in a way that's more consistent, in a way that's more disciplined. Now, discipline is extremely important. It's something that I struggle with every single day. Like, there's different things and lifestyle changes that I'm trying to make right now, and I find myself slipping and just I give in to one different thing, or I give in to another thing, and it's hard. You know, life is hard, temptations are hard, and the way that we feel can really just lead us astray. It can lead us away from the things that we actually want. Like, what? Our feelings can lead us away from the things that we want, from the goals that we have for ourselves. And it kind of brings us to a point where we are slaves to our feelings. So what we have to understand is that sometimes we have to disregard our feelings. We have to disregard the way that we feel about a certain thing, about a certain topic, or just about a certain feeling of tiredness or whatever. And when we disregard that and we understand what our goal is and what it's like to be disciplined, and we understand what a disciplined version of ourselves would do in that situation is, right? Then we can continue and disregard our feelings and continue to get closer and closer and closer to actually reaching the goals that we have set for ourselves. Now, another verse is James 1, verse 12, where it discusses that blessings will be given to those who persevere under the trials of life. Now, it just goes back to the fact that we are all going to face trials, and we're all going to face different things in life that we're going to struggle with, and trials and tribulations and challenges and different things that will just meet us with a roadblock. And if we don't have this foundation of discipline, then usually we're going to fall. So what it takes is we need to nothing is going to change overnight, right? None of our habits, or none of the things that we do consistently, none of our bad habits especially, are going to change overnight. But when we start to change little different things about us every single day, over time, that's when we will see the big changes. And it's all about understanding the little things that you are changing about yourself every day. Nobody is expected to change 4 or 5 different habits about themselves overnight. Because you know what's going to happen is you're going to end up just giving back in to every single one of those habits. But what I've started to understand is if I work on one, maybe 2 little habits, one day at a time, eventually those habits change and I replace them with new habits. And that's where I start to see the exponential changes that help me grow towards actually pursuing and reaching the goals that I have set for myself. Now, goals are extremely important to have, and I think a lot of us don't really understand what goals we even want for ourselves. So I think it's important to set goals for yourself, and not only set those goals, but to write them down, to hold on to them, to remember them, and to really bring value to what these goals are. You know? And if we do that, I think we can eventually start to see changes in our lives that the devil doesn't want to see. The enemy does not want to see. Now, if you believe in God, then understandably you should believe in the enemy. Because if you believe in good, then you gotta believe in bad. Now, the enemy is real. The devil is real. And the devil is a liar, he's a cheater, he's a manipulator, and he's also a very wise man. He's a wise man that will do anything he can to manipulate you and to keep you away from your consistency. Because the devil knows that if you are being consistent in your goals, consistent in your faith, and consistent in your search for knowledge and for truth, he will not have a hold on your life any longer. So the moral of the story is that we need to make little changes each and every single day, no matter whether or not you believe in God. But if we make changes every single day that might not look so big right now, but they will eventually combine and exponentially combine to create a huge change in the way that you live your life and the success that you see. Now, guys, this is something that I'm working on, and I'd like you to know this is something that you're working on as well. And if you have made it this far, tell me you made it in the comments, and maybe give me an example of something that you might be struggling with when it comes to your consistency, and something that you want to start being more consistent in. Because we all have different things that we struggle with. And if we work together to help each other and talk to each other about the different things that we're dealing with, it makes the journey a little bit easier for all of us. Now, this episode, it was a little short compared to the first one, but I am going to try and have somebody on next time. But every single week, I'm going to have an episode whether or not there's somebody here. And they're going to get better. And I'm going to just be more well-versed in the topics that I'm speaking about. And I'm going to make sure that I've got content and I've got things to talk about for you guys every single week. Because this is what we are doing, guys. And I thank everybody so much for tuning in. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. God bless you, no matter what you believe. And I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you.